Hey everybody, my name is Andrea Boland and Dr. Robert and I own Cornerstone Family Chiropractic. I'm very passionate about sharing my testimony with people because a lot of people, especially women, can resonate with my testimonial and how it affects our lives as mothers, businesswomen. But I will share with you, my health concerns actually started a little bit early on. I remember in third grade there was a health professional that came out and tested for scoliosis curvatures, and in third grade I had no idea what a scoliosis curvature was. And they tested my spine and they said, hey, you have a real severe scoliosis curvature to your spine. So just to define briefly, I did not have a straight spine. My spine, when you looked at me from the back, bowed out and started projecting this way a bit. So they said, well, there's really nothing you can do about it. You can buy this brace for $69.95 if you'd like, and you can, create better posture. In third grade, I knew better. I don't know what, except for God alone, told me that there was something beautifully created about my body that was just going to heal. I just didn't know how, and I didn't know when. And so I remember very factually telling my mom, I don't want to wear a brace. In third grade, that's the last thing that you want to do is become, draw more attention to you than you really need to. So I didn't wear a brace. I didn't buy their brace, I didn't wear it. And progressively throughout my life, my scoliosis curvature never provided pain or gave me any trouble. I would notice sometimes when I would do dishes as an adult, or I would vacuum, I'd have this very severe sharp pain in my back. And that's pretty much it. One thing I did notice that was happening that I had no idea was correlated with my spinal health was my immune system started to really become depressed. I was an assistant vice president of finance for about 10 years. And ultimately, I was managing large groups of people working about 80 hours a week. And unfortunately, I would pick up lots of flus and lots of colds. And where the typical person would probably get rid of that very quickly, I actually took months to get rid of the symptoms of that. And it was very frustrating for me to have to live like that. And another thing too is when I started my menstrual cycle when I was young, I noticed that my menstrual cycle was only coming once about every 4 months. Therefore, I wasn't ovulating properly, and professionals would tell me, well, you really should get that checked out because more than likely you're gonna have a very hard time having children. And that just was not okay by me. So those two significant health concerns were bogging me down as an adult. And for about 10 years, I suffered with that. I was very blessed because I actually ended up meeting my husband at one of the banks that I was managing. I promise you there was no relationship while we were working together, but I will tell you, it was pretty amazing because what ended up happening is I took his advice. I actually went to go see a chiropractor because he told me that I could be helped with those things, and unfortunately, I just rushed out and saw the first chiropractor that I knew. He was a client of mine, and I walked into his office. He did not x-ray me, and I took for granted that he just had my best interest in mind and my health in mind, and he was just going to serve me. Unfortunately, what ended up happening is he didn't take x-rays of my spine, and he was working on my spine blindly. So fully clothed, I would go into his office and he would slap me on a table, he would adjust me, he would crank my neck to the left and to the right, my shoulders, my hips, and every single time that I would be adjusted, it was very unfortunate that he was not addressing those health concerns, but I'll tell you, I felt like $1 million when I would leave his office. And I went home and I discussed this with my husband, who had then moved to Iowa for his chiropractic schooling, and he said, don't ever go back to that chiropractor again. And I asked him why. I was actually very concerned. I said, well, you told me to go see a chiropractor, and now I'm feeling better, and you're telling me not to go see him? What's the deal? And he said, look, that rush of endorphins that you're getting every time that you are being adjusted in that gross manipulative way is actually not serving the core cause of your health concerns. It's not working it out, it's not doing what it needs to do. And he said, I'm gonna ask you 2 questions. 1, have any of your health concerns been resolved? And the answer to that was no. Unfortunately, I was still suffering with somewhat of a sinus infection, cold type thing, and it was just drawn out. And he said, how long does that health or that feel-good feeling last? And the answer was probably for a couple hours, and then things just kind of started settling back in. I am very much of the mind that I need to make my own health decisions. I'm very stubborn. He'll call me stubborn. But I'll tell you, I went back to that chiropractor one more time because I did need to prove it to myself that he was doing the same adjustments every time, and that what my husband was telling me was true. And I did go back. He adjusted me the same way. And at that last adjustment, that last visit, I actually looked over as I was walking out, and he was adjusting a close to 400-pound man the same way that he was adjusting me. It clicked for me at that moment that what my husband was saying was true, and I really needed to listen to what was going on in my body. If you fast forward a couple months, I actually was married to my husband. I moved out to Iowa, and I was very blessed to come under the care of the Palmer School of Chiropractic and my husband at that time. And it was pretty amazing to see the difference, because when they did the neurological and muscular evaluations and when they took x-rays, they found that severe scoliosis, curvature of my spine. They also found that I had some pretty severe nerve pressure happening within my neck and my lower back. Not surprisingly, the nerves in my back, from what I learned, controlled and coordinated the functions of my immune system. So I had severe pressure happening within my neck, and not surprisingly, those nerves that lead down in my lower back lead directly to my reproductive organs. So in the first month I was under care, I actually started my menstrual cycle. I was not expecting it for another couple of months. It started to regulate, and by month 3 under care, I was actually pregnant with my son. So I went through people telling me, oh, you really need to get that checked out, or you're gonna have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on in vitro therapies, and really scaring me about the process. And my body knew better. My body was designed beautifully to create and do whatever it needs to do to heal. And it's really incredible, because we talked about, the ways in which I was able to get pregnant, but I'll tell you, my immune system is thriving at a much higher level now. It's incredible to see. I got that rampant flu that was going around about 6 months ago, and people were coming into our office to get their, we call them flu adjustments instead of flu shots, flu adjustments. And ultimately what ended up happening is I was over in about 3 to 4 days. That flu, I feel, in my past, about 10 years ago, even up to maybe 5 years ago, probably would have just tanked me. It just would have killed me, and I would have been missing work, I would have been missing out on life. Today, I'm not only a wife, I'm a mommy, I'm a business owner, and I'm a huge contributor to our community efforts. And I can't afford to be sick. I cannot afford to have health issues in my life, and none of us can. And so to me, when I talk about my chiropractic testimony, those key areas of my life have been completely eradicated, and it's incredible to see how amazing I'm thriving. There are multiple side effects. I no longer have acid reflux and GERD. I used to go to bed constantly with a state of, I ate really late. Working as a busy business person, sometimes I would find myself eating late and not eating the most nutritious food possible. And so I would have acid reflux and GERD. I no longer have that. And also that pain that I was mentioning before in my back no longer presents itself. So there are multiple side effects, and the coolest thing about what I recognize about my testimonial is that everything, I believe, has the ability to heal, and it's just about allowing the body to thrive and truly heal the way that God designed it to.